Whole plot getting bigger. They only see the bloom, they ain't see what grew with it. Plant it, plot it, grow it.
So I might as well let the cat out of the bag before anybody else does. Yes, I'm back. Not back to chaos, not back to discomfort, not back to struggle, but I'm back because I realize and understand life's hard. The point of this episode is not to tell people to stay in unhealthy relationships. The point of this episode is to explain some things that you might have not thought about or give you another perspective. This is about what can happen when two people love each other, but money, business, children, work, exhaustion, expectations, and ambition all start showing up in relationships at the same time. And it's about what happens when you finally realize maybe we weren't fighting each other. Maybe we both just were exhausted from fighting for our life, fighting for the life we said we wanted, fighting to live comfortably at that. So let me ask y'all something. What happens when you finally start getting some of the things that you pray for, but you're too tired to enjoy them? Because everybody talks about getting to the bag. Everybody talks about building that business, getting that office, making more money, becoming more successful, leveling up. But people don't talk enough about what all that ambition can do inside your house. I know about it because I've lived it. And if you've been following me on social media at all, you've probably saw a glimpse of what I went through. Not just with me, but also with my husband. And I admit, some of the things I probably posted or did were wrong. Now, you've heard people say over and over, I'm human. I'm not the person that is going to just do everything right. But I apologize. I deeply regret posting us in that moment of struggle, pain, and just straight up exhaustion. Life was happening all at once for me and for him. I mean, think about it, working full time, being a mother, running a consulting business, helping him grow his audio company, getting the physical office location for all of these ventures, trying to market everything, handling of the phone calls, the customers who are great at that, building something bigger for the family while still trying to be a wife, a husband, a friend, a mom, a sister, a brother, aunt, a person. Somewhere in all of that, you get tired, right? I mean, we get tired. I got tired. But this is where things get personal. Now I can understand where things went wrong. I'm a businesswoman, a mother, a wife. I have a full time career. I'm running businesses. I'm building businesses. I'm helping other people with their businesses. I'm trying to market. I'm trying to grow. I'm answering emails. I'm answering phone calls. I'm thinking about websites. I'm thinking about customers. I'm thinking about what's next. I'm thinking about what isn't working. I'm thinking about what needs to make money. And somewhere in there, I'm also supposed to remember that I'm a human being. And I think that's where things got difficult for me. Because when you're ambitious, you can get so focused on building that life that you want that you don't realize what the process of building that life is doing to you or the people around you. And that's exactly what happened in my marriage. My husband and I went through a really difficult period. We were arguing, we were fighting, we weren't communicating, at least in the way that we needed to communicate. There were times when I felt like he just didn't understand me. There was times when I felt like he wasn't loving me in the way that I needed him to be loving me. And I'm sure there were times where he felt like I wasn't understanding him either. And when you actually are going through it, you don't always have this beautiful, mature perspective. I mean, you big mad, big hurt, and big tired. You're thinking about what the other person did to you, and you're thinking about what they didn't do to you. You're thinking, I did all this, and you can't even do this. I'm carrying all this, and you can't even understand this. Why am I doing everything? These are the thoughts that we have. And eventually, we're not even talking to each other anymore. We're defending ourselves. That's where the big problem comes in. Now that I'm looking at things differently, I've realized something. I don't necessarily think the love disappeared. I think we were just tired. I think we were expecting things and experiencing things that we never experienced before. We were trying to grow, we were trying to build, we were trying to make money, we were trying to raise a family, we were trying to figure out businesses, we were trying to figure out ourselves, and we were trying to figure out each other at the exact same time. That is a lot. And sometimes the person you're fighting with isn't necessarily the enemy. They're tired too. Now, let me make something very clear. I'm not telling anybody to stay somewhere where they're being mistreated. And I'm definitely not telling you to accept any disrespect. And I'm not telling you at all that love fixes everything. Sometimes relationships do need to end. Sometimes people do need to leave. Boundaries do need to be created. But sometimes two people really do just love each other and life gets hard. And I think we need to be able to talk about that part too. Some of you may have seen something I posted in the past about my husband saying he wanted a six-figure woman. And listen, y'all had some opinions. Some of it was tea, some of it was horrifying to read. But altogether, I respect everybody's opinions and it's okay. Because when you put something out on social media, people are going to have opinions. That's literally what social media is for. That's the point. But it makes me think everybody want to talk about having a successful woman, a six-figure woman, a boss, an entrepreneur, somebody ambitious, somebody who's building something. Okay. But let's talk about what that woman actually looks like when she gets home. And again, I'm not making excuses for my behavior. I do apologize for what I did. Also feel like it's a part of my story and it helps some people. And if I can help anybody at any time, I'm doing some kind of work. A six-figure woman does get tired. She has meetings, she has deadlines, she has customers, she has employees, she has children, she has bills, she has decisions. She has people calling her all day long needing something. Somebody needs an answer to this. Somebody needs an approval. Somebody needs some money. Somebody needs some help. Somebody need a ride. Somebody can't literally see something that's sitting right in front of them. And then she needs to come home and somebody needs something else. And sometimes you just don't have anything left in you. That's real. That's okay. But here's the part that I also had to learn, that people who love us shouldn't have to survive our success. And that's important because it's easy for ambitious people to say, well, I'm doing this for the family. Okay. But does your family still have you? That's a different question because I can build the business, I can get the building, I can make the money, I can get the clients, I can get the degrees, I can get the titles. But if everything around me is falling apart, eventually I have to ask myself what success actually means to me. And that's something I've had to learn. My husband and I actually were getting divorced. I mean, it was so bad to a point to where I moved out of the home. But now we're back together. Somebody that is listening we just say right now, wait, what did you just say? Y'all did what? And you did what? I'm not going to sit here and pretend that getting back together magically erases everything that happened. It doesn't. It doesn't erase the arguments. It doesn't erase the hurt. It doesn't erase the things we both could have done differently. But we're in a different place now and we're learning and rebuilding. We're looking at things differently. And I'm looking at him differently too. Everything they do can start looking like evidence against them. But when you start healing, sometimes you can finally see the entire picture. And sometimes that picture is we were both drowning. We just had different ways of showing it. And that realization changed something for me because I don't want to spend my life fighting the person that I'm supposed to be building with. I want us to figure out what we're actually fighting for. That's the difference. And I think somebody listening needs to hear this. Some things need to end, and some things need to be rebuilt. And maturity is learning the difference. Now, here's where this comes full circle for me. And there was a couple that came into our venue and they were talking about the business and how they were really excited to see what we had did and that they were trying to do some of the same things and if we could partner with marketing and help them with their business and they help us and we're all for helping people. Something that resonated with my husband was that when the when the couple asked about the marketing, he said, "Oh, my wife does that." That's it. My wife does that. And I know that doesn't sound like something huge, romantic. There's no flowers involved. There wasn't any music playing in the background. Nobody was standing in the rain. It was just literally, my wife does that. And when he said that, it hit me differently because during everything we were going through, we had businesses sitting right in front of us. We had opportunities, we had resources, we had knowledge, we had things people actually needed. But because our personal lives were strained, we weren't pushing everything forward the way we could have. The business felt it, the marketing felt it, the momentum felt it. My wife does that. Something about that made me stop because I realized he does see me. He sees what I do, he sees what I know, and he was willing to tell somebody else about that. And that made me look around at everything we've built and think, we really have been blessed with a lot. We have businesses, we have knowledge, we have experience, we have the venue, we have services, we have skills, we know how to build things, we know how to figure things out, and we have things that other people are literally looking for. So why are we sitting on it? What are you sitting on? Seriously, What do you already have that you keep overlooking because you're so busy looking for the next thing? Because you already have a business. Maybe nobody knows about it. Maybe you've been talking about starting something for 3 years. Maybe everybody keeps asking you for help with the same thing and you still haven't realized that's a business. Maybe you're good at organizing, marketing, making good decisions, decorating. Maybe you're good with numbers, technology. Maybe you know how to fix something. Or maybe you're that person that everybody calls when they need advice. Maybe you're sitting on knowledge that somebody would gladly pay you for, but you're still sitting asking, what business should I start? The business might already be sitting in your hands. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned. Sometimes we keep looking for something new because we don't recognize the value that we already have inside of us. And that's actually a huge part of why I created Plot on It. When somebody comes to me with an idea, my brain immediately starts working. Okay, what are we doing with this? Who's going to buy it? Who's the customer? What's the offer? How are people going to find you? What does your website say? Is it making sense? Can somebody actually buy something when they get there? What are you charging? Are you charging it enough? What can we automate? What are you doing manually that you shouldn't be doing manually? What are you good at? What are you wasting time on? What are you overthinking? What are you overlooking? That's how I think. And sometimes people don't need another motivational speech. Sometimes you need somebody just to sit down with you and say, okay, show me what you have, and then help you figure out what to do with it. That's consulting, that's strategy, business development, it's marketing, and sometimes it's just plain confidence. Because a lot of people aren't lacking talent, they're lacking confidence and direction. I see people all the time who are incredibly talented, but scared to put themselves out there. They tell me, I don't know if anybody would buy this. How do you know? I don't know if I'm qualified. According to who? I don't know if I'm ready. Now, let me tell you something. You might never, ever completely feel ready. I have 2 master degrees. I have professional certifications. I've worked in corporate events. I've managed projects, teams, built businesses for myself and others. I've worked in technology, communications. I've done so many things, and there are still times when I'm figuring something out while I'm doing it. That's business. That's life. The difference is that eventually you have to trust yourself enough to move because confidence doesn't mean I know everything. Confidence means I trust myself enough to figure out what I don't know. And that mindset has carried me through a lot. I've moved around, I've tried different businesses, I've changed directions. People have watched me do different things and probably wondered, what is she doing now? And that's okay because I'm learning something every time. I'm collecting information, I'm collecting skills, I'm collecting experiences, I'm building relationships, and eventually things start connecting. That's something else I want this podcast to talk about. You don't have to fit into one little box for the rest of your life. You can evolve, you can change, you can decide that something just isn't working. You can start again. You can have a corporate career and own a business. You can be a mother and still have huge goals. You can build something, close it, learn it, build something better. Changing direction doesn't automatically mean you're failed or you're failing. Sometimes changing direction means you finally learned enough to know that you are going somewhere and exactly where you should be going. That's growth. And I think that's what this session of my life is about right now. I'm in a season where it's all about growth, not perfect growth, real growth. Growth where I have to admit I could have done that differently. Growth where I have to listen. Growth where I have to forgive. Growth where I have to apologize. Growth where I have to set boundaries. Growth where I have to get back up. Growth where I have to market the business again. Growth where I have to stop thinking and sitting on things that I know can work. Growth where I have to believe in myself again. And growth where my husband and I have to learn how to build together without destroying each other in the process. Because, yes, we still get into the bag. Absolutely. But I want to enjoy the bag. I want my family there. I want peace there. I want happiness there. I want purpose there. I don't want to finally get to a point where I look around and we've gotten everything we wanted, but I realize I've lost everything that actually mattered while I was getting to it. So if you're listening to this right now and you're in a hard season, I want you to ask yourself something. Are you finished or are you just tired? Because those are not the same things. Maybe you're tired of your business. Maybe you're tired of your career. Maybe you're tired of your relationship. Maybe you're tired of figuring everything out. Maybe you're tired because you keep putting something out there and nobody seems to notice. Maybe you're looking at everybody online and thinking, they're so much further away than me. Stop. Or as Drake say, don't stop doing that to yourself. You don't know what is happening behind someone else's camera. You don't know what they went through before that picture. You don't know what their bank account looks like. You don't know what their relationships look like. You don't know what they're crying about when nobody is watching. Social media is just a highlight reel. Life isn't like that. Stop comparing your behind the scenes to somebody else's advertisement. And if you need help figuring out what comes next, that's exactly where Plot On It is here to support you. Maybe you have an idea. Let's plot it out. Maybe you have a business that isn't growing. Let's figure out why. Maybe your marketing isn't working. Let's look at it. Maybe you need a website. Maybe you need automation. Maybe you need a business strategy. Maybe you're trying to figure out how AI fits into what you're doing. Maybe you're trying to make your next career move. Maybe you're sitting on 10 different ideas and need somebody to help you figure it out. Let's talk about it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know everything. I don't, but I know how to figure things out. And I know how to bring the right people and resources together when something needs to get done. That's where you win. Earlier in the conversation, I was talking about changing careers and paths and doing different things, and over time, having those resources. That's valuable. I'm bringing over 20 years of resources and contacts and experiences to our situation so that we can grow. And I'm here to help you do the same. I also want this podcast to be bigger than me just trying to sell you something because I really want us to have these candid conversations, real conversations. Yeah, we're going to talk about business, money. We're going to talk about careers, relationships. We're going to talk about marriage, confidence, marketing, technology, and we're definitely going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about motherhood. We're going to talk about being ambitious. We're going to talk about the stuff people are thinking but don't necessarily say out loud. And sometimes you might agree with me, and sometimes you might completely disagree with me. And that's okay too. Talk to me because I don't want to build a podcast where I'm sitting behind a microphone talking at people. I want to build a community where we're figuring some of this stuff out together. And if there's one thing I want you to take from this first episode, it's this: don't confuse being tired with being finished. That's going to sit with somebody I know because sometimes you don't need to quit. Sometimes you just need to rest. Sometimes you just need help. Sometimes you just need a better strategy. Sometimes you just need to have a conversation you've been avoiding. Sometimes you need to stop trying to do everything yourself. Sometimes you need to forgive somebody. Sometimes someone needs to forgive you. Sometimes you need to forgive yourself. Sometimes you need to admit that what you're doing isn't working and change it. And sometimes you just need somebody to remind you you're still capable of doing this. That's confidence. Confidence isn't always walking into a room knowing you're going to win. Sometimes confidence is getting your butt back in the room after life knocked the wind out of you. I've had the wind knocked out of me personally, professionally, in business, in relationships, and I'm still here. We're still building. We're marketing again. We're working on our business. We're working on ourselves. We're working on our relationships. And no, everything isn't perfect, but we're moving. And sometimes that's enough. So that's where we're starting. Not with some perfect story about how I built the company and everything went according or exactly to plan. That's not my story. My story has some turns in it. Actually, a lot of turns in it. But maybe that's why a plot on it makes so much sense. Because sometimes the plot changes. You adjust the plan. You learn, you grow, and you keep moving. So if you're building something, if you're starting over, if you're trying to figure out what's next, if you're getting to the bag, but not trying to lose yourself getting there, you're in the right place. And if you're sitting there thinking, Jade, I have something, I just don't know what to do with it, come see me. Maybe we can help you. Maybe you can help us. Maybe there's something we should build together. But whatever you do, don't give up on something good just because you're going through a hard season. And don't confuse being tired with being finished. We're just getting started. Welcome to Plot on It.
Pre-planning. Plotting on the bad, plotting on success. Planning something small, now what happens next? Roots running deep, whole plot getting bigger. They only see the bloom, they ain't see what grew with it. Plan it, plot it, grow it.